sending you warmth from the Channels TV studios here in Lagos, especially if you live in Lagos. It's been a rainy day today. And for our international viewers, welcome. You're watching The World Today. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Here's what's coming up within the hour. A gunman who attacked the U.S. embassy near Beirut in Lebanon has been shot and captured by Lebanese officials following a Wednesday morning shootout that injured an embassy security guard. The attack took place as tensions simmered in the tiny Mediterranean country, where months of fighting between Hezbollah militants and Israeli troops has displaced thousands along the border following years of political deadlock and economic hardship. The Lebanese army was deployed to the scene of the incident on Wednesday and fired at the unidentified attacker, who was then taken to hospital for treatment. While officials said all Americans inside the Beirut embassy were safe, U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller noted that the U.S. is coordinating with Lebanese authorities as they investigate the background of the incident. The man is said to be of Syrian nationality. Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico has made his first appearance following his assassination attempt last month. The Prime Minister, who gave a speech via video, thanked the Roosevelt Hospital, where he received treatment, noted the medical team prevented the worst from happening. He says he feels no hate towards the stranger that tried to assassinate him, adding he will not take any legal actions against the attacker, nor seek damages or compensation. The Prime Minister indicated he is expected to resume official duties at the turn of June or July. Now, 22 Chinese nationals have pleaded guilty to committing cyber-related crimes in Zambia. They're among 77 suspects who were arrested in April in connection to what authorities described as a sophisticated internet fraud syndicate. The swoop on a Chinese-run company in the capital, Lusaka, followed an alarming rise in internet fraud cases in the country, targeting people in countries around the world. According to local media, the Chinese nationals are set to be sentenced on Friday. Authorities say there's been an increase in cases of Zambians losing money from their mobile and bank accounts through money laundering schemes, which extend to other foreign countries. People in countries including Singapore, Peru, the United Arab Emirates, and other countries across Africa have also been targeted in the online scam. The World Food Programme says 5 million people in Haiti are facing acute food insecurity. Director in Haiti, Jean-Martin Bauer, noted the team has provided food aid to displaced people since the start of the year. Humanitarian workers have provided people with assistance amid the gang violence in the country, but the agency is calling for more support as it's running low on supplies.
Highest numbers we've had. According to the government, we now have 5 million people in Haiti that are acutely food insecure, of which 1.6 million are classified as facing emergency food insecurity conditions. These are the highest numbers on record. These are the highest numbers we've had since the 2010 earthquake. We've been able to provide over 1 million hot meals to people on the move in Haiti since the start of the year. We're very proud of having been able to help more than 100,000 people. Humanitarians have been trying to do their best to respond to the crisis. The Hot Meals program that WFP is running is one of the examples of that. Right now, we've been able to use the stocks that we placed and positioned in Port-au-Prince ahead of the crisis, but those have been running low. We're optimistic that with the reopening of the port, we'll be able to import commodities from outside and bring them to Port-au-Prince to sustain these programs. But the level of stocks for other humanitarian actors has been quite low, and we know that the health sector has been quite affected by the low stocks available in Port-au-Prince. There's been large-scale displacement. The last time we had a number from the International Office of Migration, over 360,000 Haitians had to leave their homes. Over 100,000 of them left Port-au-Prince in the month of March alone. So there's been an exodus out of the capital city, affecting especially the south of the country, a place with very limited infrastructure. And this is making the food crisis here even worse.
It's the 80th anniversary of D-Day, otherwise known as the Normandy landings, landing operations and airborne operations of the Allied invasion of Normandy in Operation Overlord during World War II. This happened on June 6, 1944, codenamed Operation Neptune. It's the largest seaborne invasion in history. The operation began the liberation of France and the rest of Western Europe and laid the foundations of the Allied victory on the Western Front. And in addition to President Joe Biden's speech earlier condemning Russian President Vladimir Putin, events have been taking place in France and in the UK, marking the anniversary. Earlier, King Charles in the UK talked of the supreme test of D-Day and the generation that did not flinch when the moment came to face the test. He was present at a ceremony earlier today. The Prince of Wales, Prince William was in a ceremony today in Omaha Beach in Saint-Laurent-sur-Mer for the International Memorial Ceremony alongside Queen Camilla, the Ukrainian President Vladimir Putin, King Charles was with Queen Camilla in London, while the Prince of Wales, Prince William, was in Omaha Beach in France to celebrate with other world leaders at the International Memorial Ceremony alongside President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine and the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. French President Emmanuel Macron handed out a Légion d'honneur medals, France's highest military honor, to veterans, including British Christian Lamb, who helped plan the landings while serving in the Women's Royal Naval Service. More than 25 heads of state gathered for the ceremony. Welcome back, and we're here on the continent in South Africa, checking in on the politics in the country. The ruling party, the African National Congress, is suggesting forming a government of national unity after losing its parliamentary majority in last week's election. It says it's reached out to all parties, but negotiations are still underway. Earlier today, President Cyril Ramaphosa met with senior officials of the party to decide how to go about forming a government. The party's National Executive Committee was meeting in Johannesburg to work through a split within the party's ranks over which direction to take. The ANC has indicated it's leaning towards a government of national unity, which will bring together many of the political parties in a broad agreement, rather than a direct coalition with the main opposition, the Democratic Alliance, DA for short. Our South Africa correspondent Innocent Simosa spoke with my colleague Layo Olarinde much earlier about the developments.
Indeed, uncharted waters, a lot of moving parts here in South Africa when it comes to the political landscape. In fact, it has been an interesting time for anybody who has been following politics, who follow politics here in South Africa. Indeed, we have seen the likes of Action SA. This is a party that was aligned to the Democratic Alliance. They had a multi-party charter whereby they thought they would be able to actually garner more votes to remove the African National Congress. So therefore, we're seeing a splinter. We're seeing them really, breaking apart in a way, because there are these talks around the issues around the coalition, the possible super coalition between the African National Congress and the main opposition party, which is the Democratic Alliance. And of course, that has not sit well with many cadres in the African National Congress, particularly the tripartite alliance in the African National Congress, the likes of the South African Communist Party, COSATU, NUMSA, all of these parties. They're saying that they will actually disengage themselves from the African National Congress in an event if it goes to a coalition with the Democratic Alliance. Indeed, they've been meeting today, the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress at Beachwood Hotel. We do know that the president will be addressing the nation later on today to announce of whether or not they're going into a coalition with the DA or they're going to a coalition with IFP or whichever party that they're going to a coalition with. So he'll be talking to us, he'll be addressing the nation later tonight. But I can tell you now that it's a different time altogether when he speaks about politics in South Africa. Layo?
Away from the politics in the country, 11 people have been confirmed dead in KwaZulu-Natal after at least two tornadoes hit the country's second most populous province on Monday, leaving a trail of destruction in South Africa's coastal province. Local authorities also confirmed over 55 injuries. The tornado in the western KwaZulu-Natal region occurred near the cities of Newcastle and Utrecht. A second, more massive one took place around Tongaat and moved towards the coast at Westbrook and Ballito, leaving more extensive damage. The provincial government says at least 120 people have been displaced. 3 temporary shelters have been established where the affected families are receiving humanitarian aid. A Nigerian man, Ezekwesili David Anyegbu, is scheduled to be elected vice chair of the 79th session of the United Nations Second Committee Bureau. It's taking place at the election of officers ceremony for the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly holding in New York. And the last time a Nigerian was elected as one of the principal officers of a UN annual session was in 2019, when Ambassador Tijani Muhammad Bande was elected as the president of the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Nigeria's candidate, Mr. Anyegbu, before now coordinated on behalf of the Group of 77 in China the UN resolution promoting investments for sustainable development on 3 consecutive occasions. He also facilitated and coordinated in national capacity the UN resolution strengthening voluntary national reviews through country-led evaluation adopted by the UN General Assembly on April 26, 2023. It's the end of the race for United Nations top humanitarian official Martin Griffiths. He announced he will be stepping down from his post at the end of this month, but he says he's leaving with a sense of work unfulfilled because the world is a worse place now than when he joined in 2021. Griffiths is the United Nations Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief. Citing the situation in Sudan, he says there's an absence of UN efforts to stop the conflict. Desperately is worried about the situation in Darfur.
I leave this job with a sense of work unfulfilled because the world is a worse place now than when I joined up in 2021. Humanitarian diplomacy is both an opportunity for us to do good for the world, but also in its ubiquity is a reminder of the absence of classic political diplomacy. In Sudan, we see the absence still of efforts to stop that conflict. We are desperately worried about El Fasher, 800,000 civilians at risk there. The humanitarian situation in Sudan has grown worse, and it is a place where two men basically decided that they were going to resolve their differences through fighting, that they were going to take the country down, that we have a situation where highly likely we will have up to 5 million Sudanese people at risk of famine. Thank you very much.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has described the fossil fuel industry as the godfathers of climate chaos. He was speaking in New York on Wednesday, marking World Environment Day. He noted while the world is in danger, we're also the solution to climate change.
We are at a moment of truth. The truth is, almost 10 years since the Paris Agreement was adopted, the target of limiting long-term global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius is hanging by a thread. The truth is, the world is spewing emissions so fast that by 2030, a far higher temperature rise would be all but guaranteed. The truth is, we already face incursions into 1.5-degree territory. The World Meteorological Organization reports today that there is an 8% chance the global annual average temperature will exceed the 1.5-degree limit in at least one of the next 5 years. We are playing Russian roulette with our planet. And we need an exit ramp off the highway to climate hell. And the truth is, we have control of the wheel. The 1.5-degree limit is still just about possible. And let's remember, it's a limit for the long term, measured over decades, not months or years. The difference between 1.5 and 2 degrees could be the difference between extinction and survival for some small island states and coastal communities. The difference between minimizing climate chaos or crossing dangerous tipping points. 1.5 degrees is not a target. It's not a goal. It's a physical limit. The cost of all this chaos is hitting people where it hurts. From supply chains severed to rising prices, mounting food insecurity, and uninsurable homes and businesses. And that bill will keep growing. Even if emissions hit zero tomorrow, a recent study found that climate chaos will still cost at least 38 trillion a year by 2050.
We're ending the world today with a spectacular performance the Wales put up for children in Argentina. Much earlier this week, it was an event hoping to bring young people closer to the world of Wales and promote environmental awareness. The huge mammals were seen swimming close to the shore as a group of fascinated children on the coast cheered happily every time the whales came out of the water. 32 schools, both public and private, took part in the program. It's being carried out every year. This year will be the 19th time. Officials noted it's a dream come true for many children, as this is the first time for many of them, and they'll be seeing whales, but also first time for many of them seeing the sea. Even I would be filled with wonder looking at whales that close. Thanks for watching The World Today. I'm Amarachi Ubani.